What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Boogity988, coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And I just got about 12 hours of sleep working on that sleep deficit from Vidcon, and I'm feeling a lot better. So I wanted to respond to some of the critiques and comments I got about yesterday's video. To say that that video has not been well received is definitely an understatement. In fact, I think it has one of the worst dislike ratios of any video I've ever uploaded. And I'm glad to see about 50% of people do seem to have my back, and maybe they have a better understanding of what I was trying to communicate there. I don't think I communicated very well yesterday. I think I said some very stupid stuff, and I was clearly very anxious in the video, so I was misspeaking and I think misrepresenting myself, so I wanted to make this video here to clarify some of the points that I was making. I think the primary criticism here that I want to talk about is that a lot of people do feel that I am kind of wishy-washy and kind of a coward, which I think is one way to describe what is wrong with me. I do have a crippling anxiety disorder that I have been medically diagnosed with, and one way to describe that is with the word cowardice. And going into this situation, I was absolutely terrified. My anxiety disorder definitely got the best of me, and it's for a variety of different reasons. The major reason is because I am not very good with confrontation. I know a lot of other people are, but I tend to either not react well at all, or even in some cases overreact when I am in a confrontational situation. So I try to avoid confrontation every step of the way. That's just who and what I am, because I know with the way my brain works, I just can't handle it. But in this particular situation, I was not willing to let my fear of confrontation keep me from doing something challenging and doing something hard. Even though I was terrified of that panel and I was terrified of upsetting any other panelists, I still went there and I still said what I meant to say. And if you watch the panel, you'll see I did say some very challenging things, even directly disagreeing with some of the other people in the panel. I would not, nor never have, nor never will censor myself for other people. What I will do is I will weigh the pros and cons and try to determine whether or not it's worth the backlash and the pain and the own mental anguish and the lack of sleep before I speak. And if it's not going to be worth it, then I find another way to deliver the message or do the thing that I want or feel I need to do. A lot of people were afraid that I wasn't being true to myself and that I was kowtowing to Anita and other people on the panel, and that couldn't be further from the truth. If you actually go watch the archive of the panels, you'll see that I was fairly confrontational, especially considering my special needs and my issues, and I was definitely true to myself. At the end of the day, I will always choose to do that. I won't be true to you, I won't try to please you, and I won't try to please anybody else. I try to please myself, and in this particular case, I definitely wanted, personally, to not upset anybody, not hurt anybody's feelings, but still get my point across, which I think I did very successfully. So I have this very narrow balance in which I want to not lose my audience. I don't want to lose people who are on the far left or the far right, and I want to deliver a message of unity, but I have to do that without upsetting anybody else, because if I stood up there and I just screamed and growled or called out Anita or said nasty things to her, then my message would be lost in that vile vinegar and bullshit, and I don't want that. And if you watch the videos of that panel, you'll see that the audience definitely did respond to the things I said. I definitely got my points across. Hell, most of the other panelists agreed with most of the things I said. The three things I wanted to say during that panel, which I do believe I got across, is that first, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. So if you're somebody out there who is getting into online media, you need to learn the tools and all the different stuff that you can find to be able to protect yourself from that, like hiding your address and phone number and private information and making contacts with your local police so that they know you might get swatted, and working with your phone company and other people to make sure that you'll be the target of social engineering. That's the first point that I wanted to get across. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And the way that I chose to communicate that was by using the phrase straight white male, which is how a lot of people who use identity politics identify me. And whereas I don't believe in identity politics and I don't really mess around with that stuff very much, I do use those terms so that the people who would apply that label to me know that I'm aware of that label and can communicate to them that that label does not seem to protect me from this very much at all, if ever. The second message I always try to deliver at these types of panels is that I don't believe that you can fight fire with fire. I think it's a lot better to fight fire with water, the opposite of fire. Some of the people on that panel might believe that, the best way to fight online bullying and hatred is to fight it by bullying and hating back. That's not how I personally choose to do it. I choose to rise above it, try to ignore it, and try to put out something beautiful and positive on the internet instead, which is what I hope this video comes across as. And then finally, I wanted to communicate that I personally do not feel that cyberbullying is the jokes or the memes or the criticisms. That's just fair play. That's just, to me, just free speech, and you're welcome to say it. I don't necessarily like the name-calling portion of it, and I definitely dislike the threats of physical harm, getting stuff sent to my P.O. box. That's nasty, disgusting. Things getting sent to my house, and obviously, hiring an assassin or threatening to kill my wife or my dog. That I think is a little across the line. That's what I consider to be cyberbullying, but not jokes and memes and criticism. And I think I got that point across right at the beginning of the panel. And if you follow Anita Sarkeesian, I think on almost all three of those points, she would actively disagree. And I knew that going in. I did not care that she would disagree philosophically with those things. I just wanted to make sure that I put it in a way that did not seem like a personal attack, because I don't want to personally attack anyone. I went to that panel just like all panels and all meetings and everything that I do in my life, with wanting to treat every single person there with the same love and respect that I would want to be treated with. And I know that's not how everyone would handle it, and that may not be how you would handle it, but that's how I prefer to do. That's how I stay true to myself, and that's how I'm able to sleep at night, and it's how I am able to get through this crazy stuff with my terrible anxiety. And finally, I think a lot of people were disappointed by the fact that I was, quote, afraid of Anita, and that is true. But here's the thing. It's not specifically Anita that I'm afraid of. I have a crippling anxiety disorder. I'm afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of all kinds of crazy, stupid stuff. I don't like to have the blinds drawn open in my house at night because I'm afraid people can be able to see in. I'm afraid of literally everyone. I can't go to bars because of it. I have difficulty even going to restaurants or grocery stores, which I have to do because that's where they keep the food, and you know I like food. I have a crippling anxiety disorder. Anita is not a special occasion here because I am afraid of everyone. But I will say I did take special consideration of Anita in only one way, and that was simply that a lot of people that pay attention to her work and pay attention to the things that she does are the same people that have made my life very, very uncomfortable because of their criticism in the past, leading to a nervous breakdown a few years ago, if you guys remember that. And because of that, I was very hyper aware of that. If I misspoke here, if I said something wrong, if I misrepresented myself, those very same people become aware of me again, and I can have another nervous breakdown, which is not something I can do. I'm only 30 days out from that gastric bypass surgery, and my doctor tells me to reduce stress during this period of time, not increase it. And that's what I was trying to do with this panel. Every thought I had was to attempt to reduce stress and not create a big deal out of this panel. Futile concept, I know, in hindsight, but at least I tried. Now, with all that said, if you still disagree with me, I absolutely welcome that. And if you absolutely still hate me and you feel the need to unsubscribe and eject from my content, I understand that too. But I feel I did not fully represent myself in the previous video and misspoke in a few places. It was because of the stress, the anxiety, and the lack of sleep. Now that I put this out into the world, if you still hate me, I understand, but I wanted to make sure you understood my side. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to put a little bit of good into the world, and I'm trying to move some people around the very far extremes a little bit closer to center so that they can see the other people on the other side and maybe actually learn to empathize and sympathize with those people. And I'm just hoping that maybe I was able to do that here. Now, maybe I made the situation worse, and if I did, hopefully I'll get another chance to try again in the future. I certainly didn't mean to do that. But when I do these types of things, I know a lot of people have their way of doing things, and a lot of that involves getting angry and doing damage and screaming at other people on the other side. I personally am not physically or mentally strong enough to do that and survive it, nor do I believe that's the way to do it philosophically. I feel that you can do the exact same thing with love, with respect, and with kindness, and actually, I think that's the better way to do it, and I think it's more effective. And if that's something you disagree with, then we will have to agree to disagree, which is, again, I think another really great way to do it. And let me know in the comment section below, did this make it a little clearer for you? Do you still agree? Do you still disagree? Do I seem like more of an asshole, more of a kowtowing cuck? Do you want to post some healthcare memes down there? It's entirely up to you guys. I'm just trying to let you guys know that I'm well-intended, even if I did make a misstep here, and I apologize if I did. But at the end of the day, people tell me to pick a side, and I did. I picked my side. I want to stay true to myself, and this is how I feel like things need to be done, and I'm trying to make the world a better place in a way that I feel it needs to be done. Not you, but me. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much. I'll speak with you again soon.